Hi everyone, this is Selvi. Today's topic is what is cherry picking of task and how to deal with it. Let's try to first understand what is cherry picking of task. As the name suggests, it's all about just randomly picking some task and start working on it. How that happens, first of all. So let's try to understand from the sprint planning event. In sprint planning, as a team, we pull the work items on our bucket. That means it is not a push mechanism through which a person like Scrum Master or product owner will assign the work items to the team. That is not the scenario. How the scenario will be, this is the set of work items that we are going to work in the sprint based on the priority and based on the association with the sprint goal. These are the work items. Now it is up to the team who is going to own on each work item. So we call that as a pull mechanism. Okay. So in Agile, it is all about self-organized team, which means team should take the ownership of assigning work items on their name and they should be able to run the show from there. Now we are clear about this part. So there is no assignment and the particular team member is going to pick the work item. Now what is the next step we will do? In the particular work item, we will start creating this task. Task are the lower level work item available in the hierarchy, which should be targeted to complete in a daytime, which means for like 8 hours or 6 hours, whatever the working hours that we are planning for a day, we should ensure that the task is not going beyond a day. Why we need to follow that kind of structure is that will give us the complete understanding whether any task is getting spilled over to the next day. That indicates us, okay, something is wrong. Now first thing we understood how work items are working on pull mechanism, and we assigned stories on our name. No one else will be assigning. It is all about the team members itself. Then the next step is team members will be creating the task in such a fashion. A task should not go beyond the working hours of a day. But we can create multiple tasks in a day itself. Like for every 2 hours, like I just want to design, want to have a review, like that. More and more task is good, but it should not be created in such a fashion that it takes too many days until and unless it really has a justification. I will tell why this is very important. Why are we stressing that, or why it is a good guidance, really a good guidance to ensure that a task is fitting within a time of the day. So now I'm just iterating and explaining what all the things we are covering. Self-organized team, which is pulling the work items on their name. So there is no as such the assignment. The team, they themselves will be pulling the work items on their name. The next step is creating task. The best way to create task is split as much as we can so that the task will not go beyond a day. This much is sufficient for planning, right? Now let's come to the daily stand-up event. This cherry picking, I'll talk about cherry picking, how to deal with cherry picking. So let me quickly give an answer for this question. Where we can deal the cherry picking activity is during the daily stand-up meeting. Fine. So where we came to know how we need to deal, we need to see. And first of all, we need to explain and understand about cherry picking. So now we are clear what happens in the sprint planning event. We talked about user story in the sprint backlog and the task that created inside the work item, and all the tasks are put it in a fashion. Fine. Now, what happens in the daily stand-up meeting? As a team member, I'll be just conveying that what happened yesterday, what are the things that I have completed, what are the things I am planning to do today. So it is basically a collaboration meeting. So this collaboration meeting will help us as a team to understand something that we can share and something we can get. For example, some of my team member wants to share some information. Hey, oh, you are going to work on this particular API. Don't spend too much time. I have done a similar API. You can reuse it. So that is the kind of collaboration we expect in the daily stand-up meeting. It is not at all a status meeting. We have discussed about daily stand-up meeting earlier in our episode. Now, let us understand cherry picking now. Yesterday in the stand-up meeting, I told that I am working on a UI. Okay, so let's take with an example so that it can be easily relatable. I am working on a user story which is related to create product screen is my user story. So in this, I'm going to enter the product ID, product name, description of the product, and click on save. It should save, and I should get a message saying product saved successfully, which means in the particular product table it should go and save the details. That's my user story. So yesterday I was working on a task called designing the UI screen, which I have not completed. In designing the UI screen itself, I have put it into two categories. One is on like just designing the text fields alone, like product ID, product name, and the next one is the product related description. And the next button is about the save button I have developed with API. When I click on this, the API should ensure that the save functionality is taken care. So what I have done is I have not completed the UI. I just completed few text fields, like all the 3 fields, but I have not put the save button. Before that, where I came is like I just started writing the API, and that is also like half cooked UI related task also, and the API related task also is half cooked. Now yesterday I told about UI, and today I'm telling in the stand up that I'm working on the API. Now this is what is called as cherry picking. Cherry picking is nothing but randomly picking the task which doesn't align to the order of execution or flow of execution. What is called as order of execution and flow of execution? See, whenever we create task, it is very important we should know if I follow a flow or if I follow this order, it is going to benefit another person. Who is that another person? It can be your team member who is waiting for some integration of what you are working, or the person can be your tester who is waiting for intermediate testing option. So for these all things to happen, we should follow a certain flow. Let me give with an example again. If I would have done completely the UI, what I would have done, I would have given that UI page to tester saying that please test all the text fields with all possible combinations that what you will be testing, like whether it should accept special characters, whether it should accept numeric values, whether it should accept uppercase character, lowercase characters, everything you can test, because that also will take good amount of time, right? Check with the length of the allowed characters length, everything you test it. If I would have given at least completed UI piece, then the tester can do this piece of testing. In the parallel way, when the tester is testing this UI piece of code, I can complete my API and I can give the API separately, and so that the tester can do the postman. With the help of postman, API can be checked to understand, okay, whether API is working fine or not. Now it is all about me integrating these two pieces so that the tester can only do the integration testing, because the individual modules are already tested, so it can save good amount of time from the testing side. But what happens here, I am like not completed with UI also I am not completed with API also. Either I should take API first, complete it and give it to the tester, or if I am completing the UI, I should complete picking up the UI, I should complete the UI and give it. Now what I have done mistake here is I have just cherry picked the task without thinking about the order of execution as well the closure status. I just picked up randomly. I never thought about is it the right way or not. So how to handle this? Now we know that cherry picking happens. This is a, I won't say it's a very common problem, but it happens. Sometimes like out of curious situations, okay, yeah, let me start this work in the UI, let me start as well the API. But as a person who is building all these uh, different modules, I may not really understand that till I get the whole piece, I will not be able to deliver any intermediate piece to anyone. So sometimes as a person who is working, if I miss out that information, then team members need to wait. If in case, let's talk about one more example, right? I am working only on the back end part, okay, only on the back end part of the code. I am working on the particular login page backend code. Now what happens here is there is one more UI developer who is developing. I said like, hey, you start doing the UI development, I am doing the backend code development. Once I complete that, I'll give it to you so that you can integrate it. My team member is also having that same understanding, and I'm also telling in the first 2 days of my stand up, yeah, I'm working on this and I have just completed this, and I need to start on this, and tomorrow I'll be completing. But suddenly I just kept as it is the login related backend development, and I moved into one more story and I started working on that task randomly. What is the issue here? Other person, other team member is waiting for me. Other team member is waiting to pick the code that actually I am going to deliver as part of the backend of the login page. Then only the whole piece of code is available for integration. Now, as I randomly picked another task, this is creating a different problem. The other team member is blocked for integration, and tester is also blocked to test the entire piece. Now only the UI piece is available, so tester can only do that. But if I would have also parallelly completed that, which actually I committed earlier, if I would have done that without cherry picking other task, I would have completed that. In that case, both of the things can go at one shot for the testing. But here, because of this, there is a rework in the testing also. So these are practical problems. These are situations that arise, but how to handle is the challenge. We have options for that. That is the beauty why we have this daily stand-up meeting. Daily stand-up meeting is not at all about a status meeting. It is a collaboration meeting. So here is the place we will be expressing these concerns. And as a Scrum Master, it's always very, very, very important to check cherry picking is not happening. If you feel there is a task that is available on the board in the status called in progress and the work is still ongoing, do not entertain one more task getting into the same column of in progress. That is the question we should ask. Why are we actually picking one more task if I am unable to complete the previous task? That is the first question that should be answered. And we should understand what are the dependencies because of this task. How it is very important for others to manage their task till they complete this task. So it is very important to express that in the daily stand-up meeting. So we know the causes why cherry picking happens, and sometimes it just happens because we thought like, okay, anyway, there is only 1 more hour of work, let me also pick one more task. No, do not entertain that, and do not encourage that kind of things in the team, because it will create a kind of big issue at the end of the sprint. all the work items will be in progress, but none of the work items are in the shape of closure. What will happen at the end? We will be completely blocked in the testing, and tester may not be able to complete everything on the last 2 days. That is the reason flow of the task, order of the task, how we are picking is very important. And at the same time, do not pick more than one task at a time and work on it until and unless it has a real meaning. Like, for example, review of code is also in progress, and you are working on another piece of code of development. That is fine, because review of code is not done by the developer. It can be a peer, it can be a other developer, it can be your tech lead. So that should be fine. You no need to wait. You can parallelly work on something, but do not work on two tasks from your side at a time. That is cherry picking. And cherry picking is also about not only multiple work items or multiple tasks at the same time. It is all about disturbing the order of execution. Like, I'll just pull uh, first development, then I will complete the design document at the end. No, if you need to complete the design and prepare the outcome of that, and then move into the development, then get it reviewed. Like that, it should go on. It should not be like, oh, I started writing the design document, okay, let me keep that, I'll start the development, and that is like halfway. I'll do the UI, that is halfway, and I started writing the document similar on that topic. No, that's not the way. We are disturbing the order, and we are working on multiple tasks, which is not the right scenario. So, to summarize, in Agile, teams work in self-organized mode. So, team members can pull the work items from the sprint backlog during the sprint execution that they are going to work. And for every work item, to ease out the execution, we create tasks. It is very important how to understand the flow of task and how to manage task at a time. Manage single task at a time. Cherry picking is picking the task randomly without any kind of order and disturbing the order, as well multiple tasks getting worked at the same time. That is cherry picking. The best place to understand that cherry picking is going on is daily stand-up event, and how to deal with that and how to avoid it. It is must and mandatory. As every team member, we should understand at a time I am not going to work on many tasks or multiple tasks. I will be concentrating on only one task. And the second point is, we should always follow the order of execution, so that we will be able to encourage intermediate testing, and we can also help other team members who are waiting for our piece of code. I think I have explained about this concept called cherry picking. It's a very practical scenario that we face, but it has also the option how we can deal with that and we can avoid that. It's all about how well we can manage the daily stand-up meeting. So this is also one best practice to follow in the daily stand-up meeting to avoid the cherry picking of tasks. Thanks everyone for listening. Happy learning and stay tuned.